Good morning, everyone. This is Paul Combs. I'm glad you could join us this morning. Really excited to show you our new search engine here, and I'd like to introduce Jennifer Riley, our Alliance Project Manager. You there, Jennifer?
Yes. Good morning, everyone. This is Jennifer Riley. I'm the Alliance Project Manager. I handle all our partnerships and those that want to access data through our API and other methods. And I just want to mention a couple housekeeping items before we start the webinar today. In case you have any associates that were not able to attend, we are recording this webinar and we will be putting it on our YouTube channel at the Courthouse Academy. That's our YouTube channel where we have lots of good tutorials and informational videos. On the GoToMeeting dialog box, as you have it up, you will see that there's a rectangular box that says questions or chat. I will be monitoring those questions and either ask them to Mr. Combs directly or just address your question directly back to you throughout the presentation. So feel free to use those to correspond with us. If the dialog box is in your way, you can either move that or minimize it to see more of the screen. Then after the webinar, we will send out a follow-up email thanking you for attending, and also we'll have a link in there to the video in case you want to share that with others, or for those that aren't able to make it today, you can pass that along. So if you have any questions, please use those chat boxes, and we hope you enjoy the presentation.
Good. Thank you, Jennifer. I appreciate that. You know, when we talk about public records and data, you know, there's a lot of different people that need information. And so as I look at our audience today, it is fairly focused in that the people that are joining us are title insurance companies, that some of these folks are leasing access to our title plants at Integrity Title, and these are title plant managers, title abstractors, and title examiners, and also joining us are some owners of some title companies. Also, too, I wanted to point out that we provide access to our title plants for non-insurance purposes for folks like title abstractors, oil and gas landmen, also title agents that may not be licensed in certain counties, but they still want access to good data in those counties. Or they could even be licensed with our competitor, but would like to be able to have more complete information for the counties they're searching in. So, you know, of course, we, you know, as someone that's been around this business for a long time, you know, we've thrown a lot of books in the courthouses, and so in some ways, what we're talking about today is kind of like the first time you've opened a grantor-grantee book. It's kind of a brave new world for us, and I wanted to kind of look at the things that we've done in the past and the way that we handle records, and kind of relate that to where we are going today. So, of course, we'd work in the courthouse, and then we'd get as much information as we could get there, and then we'd go to the title plants. And the title plants typically had either track books where you could follow a piece of property through that was written in a book, which was very handy and very helpful. In fact, we're looking at a track book here that has the patent and then every record that comes after that. In addition to the track books, a lot of times we're working out of card plants where we're pulling out a drawer that has all the cards in it, and then we would flip through the cards one at a time, and we'd find the information we were looking for, whether it was for oil and gas or for deed information or whatever it might be. And then also, too, this same data at some point was put onto microfilm or microfiche, and we were able to do our searching through the title plants and through the grantor-grantee indexes using this product, which is this microfiche. And in some ways, microfiche was very good because you could put the information in there about the subdivision or the name and be able to view 1,000 records at a time. That's pretty powerful to be able to do that. And then, of course, the computerized title plants came along, and so this was our computerized title plan. As a lot of people know here, that we, you know, we provided title plants in Texas since 1993, and had been building these geographic databases for a year or two before that. So we were able to open the market up to people that wanted to be in Harris County or Dallas County, where they were not able to afford to be in those counties before. And our legacy title plant that we built here has carried us very well for a number of years, and it's been a great tool for us. But we have some, I guess, really incredible IT folks that work with us, and they kept looking at the way that we were doing our searches through our legacy title plant, and they just kept thinking that we can do much better than we're doing there. And so that's what we're going to be showing you today, and that's what we call our Search V2 product. And so we've had for some time what we call our advanced title plant, which had some of the features that you see here, where people can save their searches, they can monitor their searches. So let's say, for instance, you did a search on a property, and a week later there was an IRS lien filed against the individual that you had done the search on. You can monitor that name and then get an email back saying these were the new filings that have happened under this name or this legal description. So that's a nice feature. Also, too, we have an auto naming function as you're building your run sheets. And also, too, we felt like this gave you faster results than you might have gotten otherwise. But the advantages of this Search V2 product are kind of phrased in this way, that number one, you get unlimited search results, which I really can't tell you how important that is. And then also, too, you're able to display 500 records on a page. Well, if I can view 500 records on a page, on a web page, then I can look at a lot of information at one time. So it really helps me in terms of the speed of being able to do my work. Well, a lot of the people that are on the phone today are title examiners or title abstractors. And I think if people look at our title plants that are doing the title insurance work, I think the criticism that we've gotten is that it takes a little longer to do the Schedule B than maybe another competing title plant. And so I think what we've done here with this Search V2 product is that we've made it easier to be able to build your search, your Schedule B items, and you'll see that in just a second. So when you do a search, you're able to bring up all the information within the subdivision, no matter how large the subdivision is, and then you can also use the tool that's provided to you through your Chrome or your browser that allows you to do a fine search within the results that you pulled up, which really is kind of using our search engine to be able to deliver the information to you on your browser, and then you're using your browser to be able to fly through a page of data. And again, you'll see that here in a second. And then also, too, you would, if you're doing Schedule B and you need to update that Schedule B to see if there's been any certifications or any management certificates that have been filed subsequent to the original deed restrictions, certainly you can use the filtered searches to be able to find out that information. So, and something to keep in mind is that most of your Schedule B items that are going to show up are going to occur at the time that the plat's filed. So if the plat was filed in 1986, then typically you're going to see the deed restrictions around 1986, and you're going to see the easements for street lights, and you're going to see any kind of agreements in place that are going to happen right around the time that the plat was filed. It would not make sense to file a plat and then 4 years later to file the deed restrictions, although that could happen. Or it doesn't make sense to file a plat and then 2 years later file the streetlight easement. So all of that's condensed within the same time period typically. And something else I want to point out to you is that because we're providing this very powerful search engine to deliver the information to you, when you receive that information, you need a machine that allows you to receive that information effectively. This is your livelihood, so to invest maybe a little money in some RAM maybe wouldn't hurt. So what we do recommend is that you have a Chrome or Firefox browser. The older Microsoft versions are just not as clean using this system. I know that Microsoft has their new Edge browser, and we still need to find out how good we are against that Edge browser. But again, having a fast internet or high-speed internet connection, having 8 to 6 gigabits of RAM is important to be able to use the tool effectively. And then because you are able to display 500 records at a time, if it takes a few seconds to display those 500 records, it doesn't necessarily mean that our search is taking a long time to deliver that to you. All of that information is being built on a browser page, and what our IT folks tell us is that browsers, generally speaking, were not built to display that much information. So sometimes it does take a few seconds to download. So I'm just going to kind of show you on a PowerPoint kind of an example of a couple of searches that you might do. This is relatively small subdivision, which is Pecan Trail subdivision in Harris County. You can see at the top that it found 218 results, and we're displaying 3 pages because we're displaying 100 records to a page. And so those are my search results. Again, as I mentioned, you've got the plat that's filed. There's the deed restriction filed right behind it. And then if I wanted to follow up and do another deed restriction search to see if there's anything more current, then it does show a management certificate that was filed in 2012, which was, I guess, 20 years after the original deed restrictions were filed. So let's look at a little larger subdivision. So you notice the search that I'm doing here is just a general search. So we're casting a very wide net here to find out everything that's in Bradford Colony. So when I do that, you can see that at the top, the number of records that we're pulling back here is 5,894 records. This comes on 59 pages. And again, let's look at where the plat is filed in 1984. Well, right after that is the Houston Lighting and Power Company underground agreement. And then you have your deed restrictions, and then you have your street light easements that show up below that. So you can see all of your Schedule B information is right here. But let's say Bradford Colony Section 4 was platted in 1986. Well, what you can do is when you do your search for Bradford Colony under that general search, then put the start date as 1/1/1986. And typically you're going to pull the plat, and then any deed restrictions or annexations will occur right during that same time period. So, so again, keeping in mind that all of this information typically happens at the same time. So the other great tool that we don't always think of and don't always use, and it does work very well on our title plant, is the ability to use the Control F button to find information on the page. So for instance, if I wanted to narrow this number of pages I want to look at to 12 pages, because this is a large data set that I'm looking at, then I have 500 records on a page. Well, if I use the Control F and then put in REST, at the bottom you can see where it's picking up the things that say restrictions. So that's really just a good tool, and we don't, again, always think to use that. Now here's a search that we're going to do in Dallas County. And in Dallas, Collin, and Denton County, typically you search by the volume and page of the recorded plat. So in this case, I'm looking for a plat that was recorded in volume 160, page 2102, and then it pulls up all the records related to that plat. And again, it's showing the plat, the easements, any kind of agreements, it looks like for a cable company. So all of those Schedule B items are showing up right at the very top of the screen. And you can see that the number of records that pulled up here was the 115. This is an apartment complex, so there's just not a ton of records here. But then also too, I could run a separate easement search if I like, putting in the volume and page, and then it's going to pull up just those easements, easement records that I'm looking at. So let's do a legal search, let's say in Hays County, Texas, where all I know is a survey name. So I can put in Chambers as a survey name under the legal, and you'll see at the top here, it says that it found 2,198 records, and then I want to switch that to 500 records to a page, and therefore instead of looking at 22 pages of information, I'm looking at 5 pages of information, which if I'm looking at everything that I find in the survey, and I'm only looking at 5 pages of information, and let's say that, for instance, I can see a date here that goes back to 1972, then for a searcher to be able to look at everything that affects that survey by only scanning through 5 pages of information, I just think that's amazing and really pretty powerful to be able to do that. And then down at the bottom, you can see where I was using that example of where you can use the Control F to find the name Fowler. And if I found a deed into Fowler, now I'm looking for a deed out of Fowler. Well, if I'm displaying 500 records to a page, then maybe I want to use the Control F button to put in Fowler. I'll see where they bought, where they sold, and it'll highlight it on the page. It just makes my job that much easier. So as I mentioned, you do get unlimited search results when you're using our title plants. And so in this case, I'm looking for a couple of different surveys in Harris County, Texas. One is the John House survey, and typically it's indexed by the last name of the survey and then the first name. And then another survey that I'm looking for is the John Taylor survey. John Taylor survey is a very large survey on the west side of Harris County. So I can put in that search criteria, and very quickly it will come back. In the case of the John House survey, bring up 16,392 records. And in the case of John Taylor, it brought back 29,000 records. And you can see my highlight at the top. Those were brought back in less than 5 seconds. We were able to pull back 16,000 records or 29,000 records in less than 5 seconds. That's amazing. And this has never been available in the title insurance world that I've ever known about, or in the abstracting world. So it is kind of that, in some ways, that earth-shaking, in my opinion anyway. And so, but the key here really to the power of the Search V2 product, number one, is the unlimited search results. The other powerful thing is the ability to display 500 records on a page. Also, too, the ability to get these search results that much faster. In fact, I had a client of mine that I was talking to, and what he said, and I thought it was kind of funny, he said he's speed intolerant. That is, we all want it faster, don't we? Well, I think what we've done here is we're going to allow you to do it much faster. Now, I am going to talk about pricing for our title plants and for our databases. Again, I haven't really shown you everything that we have, but for people that lease access to our geo-index title plant that gives them access to all of the counties, all of the back plants, all of the information they need, it is $2,000 a month plus $50 per user. And if someone just wants to select a particular county, Dallas County or Harris County, whatever it might be, then it is $500 per county plus $50 a user. We do have a special offer that we're offering to title agents. And keep in mind that this is for the non-insurance access to our title plants. So this wouldn't be giving you access to be able to be a licensed agent. It only gives you access to be able to use these databases. We know that our competitors out there have put up title plants, but they don't have back plants, and they don't have starter files in certain markets. So again, our title agent special offer here is $1,500 plus $50 a user, plus the documents that you purchase, of course. And that gives you access to the back plants. It gives you access to the handwritten grantor-grantee indexes going back to sovereignty. We have over 2 million starter files. And then, of course, we have the plats. So just think about the starter files. If you're paying our competitor $30 a starter, if you decided that you're going to, the first 100 starters you pull in your office that month, and you paid us either $2 a start or $3 a start for those, essentially with the first 100 starters that you pull in that county, you will more than pay for access to this database. Also, too, we do provide access to all of our current geo-index title plants. And again, those are for non-insurance purposes and not for insurance purposes. So let's get to work. Let's do a search here. So I want to go into the way that I typically go into the geo-index. Again, if I want to go into the title plan for title insurance, I can just click on the button here, but I can also go into the non-insurance access, which is our geo-index title plan. And so when I go in there, I can just pick the county that I want to do my work in. In this case, I want to go into Harris County. So let's go there. Let's go to Harris County, and then I'm going to search without a GF number. And I'm going to search, again, the general index. So I'm looking at every column of information here, and what do I know? I know it's called Foxwood subdivision. So I'm just putting in Foxwood. So I go find everything with Foxwood, 30,220 results. So there's our Foxwood. So there's our plat. Here's our underground electric easement. Here's our street light easements. Here's another underground electric as it deals with Section 2. So I could say, well, okay, I'm just going to add all this information into my report that I think that I need, that's here. And I can also go in here and say, well, I want to go ahead and do a separate deed restriction search for Foxwood just to kind of double check whatever it is my results were. Also to look for any certificates or something that came later after, after the original platting that took place. Again, typically that's going to be your management certificates and something, again, that would come after the original plat or an annexation or an amendment. So here we're looking at everything that's considered a deed restriction type amendment. And you notice that it is displaying 126 records on the page. So if I wanted to display everything on the same page, instead of looking at 2 pages, I can choose to do that. Just keep in mind that when you do change that to, let's say, 500 that you want on the page, you will notice some lag time because, again, it is building a web page. So now, again, we've got everything on this web page that we might want to look at. And again, it's easy enough just to scroll through the information and look for whatever it is. And again, having it all on one page, we just think is very powerful to do that. Let's do another search in Harris County. So I'm just going to say new report, new search. And I'm in Harris County already. Search without a GF number. Again, I'm going to do a general search, and I'm looking for Oakwood Forest. So you notice I'm just putting in Oakwood F. Brings back whatever it was, 4,157 records there. So on here, again, you can see where the plat's filed, you can see the agreements, you can see the deed restriction. All of this is happening right here when the plat is filed. And again, if I were looking for, oak forest, this has to be oak forest, but if I'm looking for something that came later, I would find out when that next plat was filed for Oakwood Forest Section 2, and then most likely my restrictions, my annexations are all going to be right there in the same area. And in the same way, again, if I wanted to, strictly look at deed restrictions for this oak forest, then or Oakwood Forest, I should say, I could just go in here, Oakwood F, go find everything with Oakwood Forest, and then it's going to go through and just strictly pull out the things that are related to Oakwood Forest that we consider to be deed restriction type documents. So let's look at another county if we could. Again, I'm kind of running through these, but I just want you to see how moving from county to county doesn't really change the way that you're actually doing the search. So in this case, I want to go to Collin County. Let's just go to Dallas.
It looks like, Paul, looks like you're putting it in the wrong section on the map page and not the subdivision line.
Yeah, I know it's operator error. So what am I doing again? I'm putting it under
Looks like you're putting it on the wrong field. Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's it. That's usually what happens right there. You got to put it in the right field. Okay, let's do that. So J190. So again, this is the Starwood area, 1,498 records. You see the plat and restrictions. And typically here, you're also going to be seeing like the first deed out of the subdivider. And a lot of times you'll see kind of like in this case, Darling Homes has a lot of properties that they have on a mortgage. So you're going to see a lot of that early activity by just putting in the volume page of the plat. That's all I did really. And then, but let's jump over to Dallas again. I want to look at a subdivision called Cedar Crest. So I'm going to Dallas County, searching without the GF number. I'm going to the legal description. Again, I have a map volume and page, 092, and then it's page 735, and then I'm going to search that. 3,475 records. There's all the Cedar Crest. Again, you see your plat, all of the amended restrictions, all of that together. Again, if I want to display 500 records to a page, and so I don't have to look at 35 pages. Then I just choose that 500. Again, a lot of times how fast this builds the page is going to be kind of dependent on your computer on your side. So now we're only looking at 7 pages. And again, if I wanted to look for things on this page that have the word restriction in them, I could use that Control F button and then say, type in REST-R, and you can see where it's highlighting the word restriction wherever that is found. And so if I just put in an REST, then you can see it's finding crest, REST, that's the word in crest. And you can actually look along the right-hand side. There's a kind of these yellow bars, if you can see that all the way at the very top right-hand corner. That kind of shows you where REST might be showing up. So let's go to one more county. And this case, I'm going to go to Travis County. Need to more. Let's do that again. 2,934 records. But this is Moreland. That's what it was. Moreland Survey or Moreland Subdivision. Well, the person I'm looking for is a William Moore. So again, if I click on the legal and then put in a space and then a space and a W and then a percentage and then do that search, then it's only going to go find those things that are the William Moore type records. So again, it's showing 196 records here. If I wanted to, let's say, look at, just turn to the next page, I could simply click on page 2 and that'll flip to the next page. But again, I could also just choose to display the 196 records on one page. Once I do that, then I can, again, use that Control Find function to be able to go through the page here. So if I knew that I was looking for Baldwin on this page, again, I could just put the Control F, BALDW, and it'll find where Baldwin shows up, and it highlights wherever Baldwin shows up on the page. So again, I can very quickly go through a survey and look for any particular activity it is that I might be looking for. So a good question here I'm looking at is why not have it default to 500 records to a page? And the reason for that is because it's the speed of the if we made it a default for everyone, then essentially you would have people out there would have slow computers that would really have a difficult time loading those 500 records on a page. So we kind of made I guess the business decision it was best at least to show the 100 on a page. And then if you want to flip through the 100 on the page, then it's easy enough to do that. Well, one thing I do want to point out to folks is that, we on courthousedirect.com, we have this ability to perform a search by address. And I don't know how many of y'all have used this or have been using it, but I can putting in my address here. But once I click on it, then it does allow me to drill down to a specific property. And once I'm on that specific property, then I can choose to to do other things. And one thing that you have the ability to do is actually order title insurance here. So a user could click on this title insurance, and then they would pick, whoever they would tell us they're the seller. It's a residential property, and then they would pick the closing office. And then once they pick the closing office, then the order would go to that closing office. So again, for the folks here that maybe are not listed on this portion of our website, then certainly reach back out to us, and we'd be happy to get you listed on there. So, and then the other thing I would tell you, for the people that strictly use Courthouse Direct instead of the title plant to do their work, there might be a few of them on here. Well, let's say, for instance, you're just using the grantor-grantee index because you bought a search in, let's say, Galveston County, but you're not licensed there, but you also wanted to kind of double check the results that you got. Whenever you do these searches now in the Courthouse Direct grantor-grantee index, it used to be limited to 1,500 results, and now we actually limit that to 5,000 results. So you can cast a wider net even on Courthouse Direct if you care to do so. And again, for the folks that that are not, I guess, familiar with all of our starter files, I do want to click on this home button, and then on the left-hand side, we do have this area called Historical Deeds and Plats. In the very top left-hand corner of this particular folder, we'll have a listing for the starters and bases. So when I click on that, and then I go into, let's say, Harris County, you can almost use this as a plat index too, because here's the name of the plats and there's the volume and page recording of the indexes. So, for instance, if I was looking for Timber Grove Manor, Section 5, then I would just scroll down here to Timber Grove Manor, Section 5, and then I would open that up and I would see that there's the plat, and then below that are all the different starter files that I would be able to find in here. So again, if for a company that's downloading 100 starter files in a month and paying our competitor $3,000 a month versus paying us $300 a month, that would more than pay for itself to be able to access this data that we're talking about here. So, and again, for the other folks that are not familiar with our other resources that we have online, we do have, again, in a lot of these counties, we have the handwritten grantor-grantee indexes, even in a county like Harris County. So we have the handwritten indexes going all the way back to sovereignty. We've got back plants, I'm hitting on a couple pages that are blank here, but you can see that handwritten record there. This goes back to 1914, but we do have these other back plants too, and that's what I was mentioning to you, that if you need access to back plants in counties like Travis County, for instance, I mean, we've got all those. So just keep that in mind for any of the people that are not that may want to subscribe to Courthouse Direct or the GeoIndex title plan, not for title insurance purposes necessarily, but to be able to enjoy these other resources that are available to us. So any other questions, Jennifer?
Yeah, there's one more that came in that may have been part of the change, so maybe this would be good to address to the group. It says, when searching and building a run sheet, where will the search history show on the sheet? It used to be at the bottom of the run sheet, but now it's not there.
Yeah, that's a very good question, actually. So now let me just go back into the plant real quick. So I'm going to click on Home, and then I'm going to go to the Advanced Title Plant. So, and let me just do a quick search here. So I'm looking in Harris County, and I'm going to search without a GF number, and I'm going to go ahead and search this legal. So if you notice on the bottom left-hand corner, there's an open button here. So that's where your prior searches are going to be. So you should be able to just go here and then either open or close this particular window. It used to just kind of pop up on its own, and we had some comments that was a little bit annoying. So essentially we just have an open and close button at the bottom left-hand corner to be able to track whatever searches that you're doing. Okay, well, again, I really appreciate everyone joining us today. You can tell, I think, that I'm very excited about what we've done in terms of being able to provide this ability to search these databases and to be able to cast this wide net and to bring everything up at one time. For me, I like to have everything given to me, and I can decide what I don't want. And as I think as researchers, if we, particularly if you're doing any kind of commercial work or you're building these, you're doing the Schedule B work that you're doing, now I think it kind of cuts through all that and you're able to get your job done effectively. And so, again, really appreciate y'all taking the time today. Do continue to ask your questions. We'll respond to those, and feel free to pick up the phone and call me directly if you'd like to do so. So again, I appreciate everyone being here. Y'all go out and have a great day today. And Jennifer, thank you for your help.
Sure.
Okay, bye-bye.